So when is it that someone can feel confident? Because I know you said day one, you really can pull a dog, and you can with these, in this
Yep.
kind of space that we're all in. But I remember feeling super scared the first time I did it. I was like, I know that I'm supposed to be an employee or whatever.
Yep.
I'm part of the cost model of this business.
Hmm.
Do you have any advice for someone trying to navigate that?
I've used the name for this and I call it my very toxic masculinity name. So just transfer your own. I call it King's Cash. If you're a queen listening, it's Queen's Cash and it's just as good. I call it King's Cash because I'm a king, but it is, again, so I look at this in two ways. You should get paid in your business two ways. One is for the day-to-day work you do inside the business, because you show up as a good little worker bee employee and you have job descriptions and you have things that need to get done and you do that work and you should get paid for that. Steve, that's where you build yourself into the cost structure of the business model. If you're good at building funnels, you should get paid to build funnels, even if you're building funnels for your own business, right? Mm-hmm. But then there's this second part of getting paid, which is because you own the business and you took risk and you backstop the risk of that business, right? That is the second reason for which you get paid. Now, this is what Karl Marx missed when he said labor gets all, right? The communists that come in and want to wreck everything. They don't realize that really what you're getting paid to do is to take on risk, to have the idea of the business and to backstop and underwrite the risk of it. That second portion, you can call it a dividend, a bonus, a distribution. That happens less frequently and less regular and less predictable. But you need to be able to separate the two. So what I do is I think about it like a salary, right? Mm-hmm. I take a regular paycheck every single month and I can build certainty into my life because I know when money is going to come in. And so as I'm growing the business and hiring more people, I'm protecting my salary just like I would protect the salary of everybody else on my team as we're growing, right? I would never want to overhire and then not have enough to pay the guy that's been there and is actually doing all the work, right? So I put myself into that world and I just take enough to live my normal, regular life, right? Because I'm the employee part of it. And then the second part is we need to zoom out from the business once a quarter and look at how did we perform. And we need to do this from the goals and objectives we've set, the targets we've set, did we hit them? But we also need to do it financially. And we need to look at the bank accounts and say, do I have more cash 90 days later than I started out that 90-day time period with? And if so, 100% of that excess cash, guess whose it is? It's yours. That is what you get paid because you own this asset. And I tell people, go through the exercise of actually taking the money out of the business and put it in your personal bank account and just bask in how amazing it feels to get paid for creating something amazing out of an idea that was in your head.
But Brad, oh my gosh, I'm going to starve the business. Oh no. Right. What do you say to that? Because that's so obviously I'm sure what people say next.
Two answers to that. And I'll tell a little story about somebody we all know. Do you guys know Brandon Poulin? We've all heard of him. Great friend. Awesome dude.
Awesome guy.
Amazing business owner. Yeah. But I remember an exchange we had because I was trying to say the same thing. I was trying to be like, dude, you've got to be also building your wealth while you're building the business. And every time we would talk about taking cash from the biggest and beginning investing strategies, like, oh man, I'm going to make this investment in next quarter and next quarter and next quarter, right? Until finally I just showed up, I was like, hey man, I don't know that we need to meet anymore because in the last couple of meetings, this is the way it's gone. And I just think, you're just too lazy for this to work. Yeah. Brandon, how do you think that went? Right?
He's going to smack you.
What the? And I was like, no, dude, nothing's wrong with that. It's totally fine. If you want to be lazy, that's fine. He's like, whoa, what do you mean? What? And I said, well, Brandon, when you didn't have money, how did you solve problems? You were an entrepreneur and you figured it out with something that wasn't money, your own ingenuity. Now that you have money, you've just decided to be lazy and let money solve your problem. And so this exercise of extracting profit from our business gives us the space to rethink and say, wait a minute, do I actually have to solve this problem with money or is there another way? Then if there isn't another way and money is the legitimate solution to it, guess what you can do? you can put the money back into the business and reinvest and grow. But that act of pausing for a second and thinking about it and running through an analysis increases your financial IQ, increases your entrepreneurial IQ. And funny enough, once Brandon started doing this, he started extracting money from the business, got himself personally very, very well off and very wealthy and doing very well for himself, and never did it choke or starve the growth of the business because he was able to solve his way out of it entrepreneurially. Sometimes he put money back in the business, but a lot of times he came up with solutions that did not require money. And that's our job as an entrepreneur, is to solve the problems that come up. So my answer to it is that space of, but Brad, it'll starve the business. That's the question I want answered. Why will it starve the business? What do we need to do? And what's action steps going to be taken? The other way I look at it, and I quiz this at business owners all the time. I'm like, Steve, if I have an investment and I say, hey, give me $100,000, let's go invest. What's your first question?
Where?
Yeah. How much money am I going to make? And when am I going to get it back? Right?
Yeah.
And those would be the questions you would ask me. Have you ever asked that of your business? Have you ever put money into the business and then really looked at, when am I going to get this back and over what time frame?
Because of you, yeah. But prior
now
to you
do.
Prior to you though, no, I bootstrapped my business with little tiny affiliate marketing, things like that. I didn't actually put any of my own money in, but yeah, it was because of you and this methodology. I mean, I have a very similar background story when you told me to start taking money out. I was like, whoa, wait. Okay, I believe it though. I'm going to take it out. And it's funny because I took that excess cash out and I immediately became more entrepreneurial. But not in a starvation, I'm going to die way. It was the function of the business to do that for me as the owner. Yep. And then now we all became more entrepreneurial. We figured out how to close the gap. But we didn't do anything risky. We just took the excess off. Oh, fascinating. Fascinating.
Yep. So that's what I want business owners to ask themselves. And by not taking money out of the company, we're by default putting money into it or leaving it in there. And this makes us better business owners by asking ourselves the question, what does my business need to grow? And what does it need to grow profitably? Right. And a lot of people think it goes slower, but we tracked some of your case study together where you actually started growing faster the more money you took out of your business. It's insanity.
It's crazy. It feels so backwards.